So for those that really like tune into my channel, you all know that I already did a video stating why I made the move to Charlotte. I only put it up for like, I say at least about 15-20 minutes. I got 25 views and then I took it down. And the reason why I took it down is because I'm a storyteller, I'm an author. And I felt as though that, I did a disservice on telling the story. I studied a lot, the story was like really, really choppy. So I decided that I would do the video all over again. And this time I will put my oomph into it, you know what I'm saying? So here we go. Now, I said it in the video prior to this video that I'm doing now. It may seem awkward to you all. The things I'm about to say, the decisions that I made. I'm making this video to prove to you that anybody can move to Charlotte as long as they're determined. Now, I wouldn't advise you to make the certain decisions that I made. I would advise you to plan if you're planning on moving to Charlotte, because the decision that I made was very immature. It wasn't well calculated, and I could have lost everything. That plain and simple. So let's go. I used to be part of this cult called the Nubian Nation, right? And this guy called Dr. York, he's changed his name several times, and as well as the organization itself, it's changed his name several times. We changed religion, ways of life, and all the rest of that stuff. At first, they were Muslims, and then after that, we were ancient Sumerians, and then after that, we went into Egyptology, and then after that, we went back to being Egyptians, and then in between that, we were Moors. So it was this guy named Dr. York. He was the leader of the group called the Nubian Nation. I used to believe in him. I thought, that what he said was true. He said he was a man from another planet called Risk, right? Now, don't judge me. At that point in time, I'm not going to say that I was extremely young, but if I wasn't extremely young, I definitely had a young state of mind, right? So I'm in Raleigh, living in Raleigh, and I'm like, you know what? I want to get out of Raleigh, because Raleigh, to me, at that point in time, right now it's a booming city. It's actually like surpassed Charlotte when it comes to the fastest growing city in 2020 in 2019. So, but at the time it wasn't. So I was like, I got to get out of here, man. And then I saw that, it was a sister in Charlotte that was trying to open up a bookstore, and I wanted to be part of that bookstore. Now, in the bookstore, it was nothing but Dr. York's products. Dr. York is the one that wrote all of the books. There weren't different authors in the bookstore. There was just his products, whether it's books, oils, incense, clothing, etc. Right? So, I would go back and forth from from Raleigh to Charlotte. It was another sister at that time that lived in Raleigh, and I would ride with her because my license was revoked, but I still was driving, you know what I'm saying? But I just didn't want to take the chance on driving from Raleigh to Charlotte and get pulled over, right? So I'm going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, till eventually I made my decision that I wanted to move to Charlotte. Now, the first original decision, or the reason why, or what made me move to Charlotte, is because they were opening up a bookstore. Dr. York's cult was opening up a bookstore, and I wanted to be part of it, right? So I failed to mention this too. At that time, and he still is serving time, he's in jail for 135 years for molesting children. It's just that plain and simple, right? So here I am believing in a man from another planet, and at the same time he's a child molester, but I'm believing that he's innocent at the time that I was actually, part of the organization, right? So I go back home, I tell the fam, look, we're gonna move and start packing your bags. So we start packing our bags and everything. My father's paid for the U-Haul truck for us to move up here. I drove up, right? Excuse me, let me rewind it. I filled out an application online, for this apartment complex, right? Saw the pictures, I was like, wow, I want to move there, because the pictures, the brochure, of the pictures of the actual apartment look great. So I'm amped. I fill out the application, and I'm saying, wow, man, my life is changing. You know, here I am. I'm going to move to Charlotte. I'm going to be part of this bookstore, and I had published my first book, and I was working on my second book. So I'm going to have the opportunity to actually, you know, be able to pitch, because I'm a self-published author. So, you know, to be able to pitch and market and advertise my book, because there's definitely double the amount of people, a population in Charlotte in comparison to Raleigh, right? So I'm geek. I fill out the application. I drive up here. Now, taking heed, I drive up here in a Saturn View. Saturn View was like a 2006 or something like that, right? Now, this is 2009. The Saturn View had pretty much no brakes, right? Every time I would brake, every time I needed to brake, I would have to slowly pull up what is that? The second brake, the safety brake, I think. You know, like when you're on a hill, you pull it up. I would have to slowly pull it up, and it would slow me down. I had the license plate on the Saturn View it was a Geostorm. It was registered to a Geostorm. So here I am. I have no insurance. I have my the license plate is not to the Saturn View, and I have no brakes. I drive up here. I get to the apartment. Now, the apartment is located on Independence Boulevard, right? As I drive into the apartment complex, I see on this fence kinfolk, and it's a fork and a snake and just a bunch of different gang signs. So that was the first alarm, but I didn't think nothing of it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I was determined to get here, right? I go in the leasing office. I fill out the rest of the information and sign, you know, the lease or whatever. She gives me the keys to the apartment. I go up into the apartment, and the apartment is trash. You know what I'm saying? And then I'm hearing people like coming downstairs saying, you know, I'm going to such and such part of Charlotte, and you know, they looking for chicks, and they're smoking weed. So I'm like, yo, man, I can't stay here. I'm bringing my family here. Right? I go back to the leasing office. I tell the lady, yo, I don't like the apartment. You know what I'm saying? And she's like, well, I don't know why you don't like the apartment. This is an apartment that we display, you know, meaning that for anyone that wants to come, you know, see a model. That's what it is. It's a model apartment. Anyone who wants to, you know, see what they're going to get, we would show them this apartment. So this is like a prime apartment. This is the best we have. I'm sitting here like, yo, lady, let me tell you something, for real. Well, let me ask you a question. Would you move? Would you move in that apartment? She's like, yeah. So at the time, like I said in the last video, I didn't know about Valentine, right? So I asked her, yo, where do you live at? She's like, Valentine. Valentine is totally different from Independence Boulevard. So she was basically lying to me. She knew she wouldn't have stayed in that apartment, and it's just that plain and simple. So to make the long story short, I call corporate, and I tell them, I let them know, hey, listen, the apartment is not up to par, this and that and so forth. And they wind up moving me to this place called this place called Presley Oaks, formerly known as the Oaks, off of W.T. Harris, located in the university area, right? I get up there, I start going to so the bookstore opens up, right? I start going to the bookstore, I start working there, right? Now, taking heed, in this coat, you work at the bookstore, but they don't pay you. And at the end of the week, you have to come up with what you call turn-in. Turn-in is, you got to come up with $200-$300, however much they ask you for. So, to make the long story short, it was a dude named Sean that was working at the bookstore when I wasn't working, because I was doing 2 days. So I did Monday, Tuesday, another dude did Wednesday, Thursday, another dude did Friday, Saturday, whatever, and then Sunday we had class, right? And we had a teacher for that. So Sean would do Tuesdays and Wednesdays and Thursdays or something like that, right? And this went on for a couple of weeks. I mean, we never thought anything about it. And one day somebody broke into not broke into the store, because Sean was already there. We thought that somebody broke into the store because Sean wasn't there, and everything was going with the exception of the book. So the lady that owned the bookstore had ancient, like not ancient, African mask. She had a cash register in there, computer, copy machine. He took all that stuff, but he left the books because he knew that wasn't worth anything. You know, Dr. York's comic books. But anyway, he breaks into the store. You know, she calls me. I come there. I get there. Make long story short, we wind up finding out by the cops because they had video surveillance of who broke into the store, that it was Sean. So eventually, I just left the bookstore. I started looking at YouTube videos and everything, and I found out I found this channel called Chuck Morgan. Chuck Morgan had the victims of Dr. Malachi York. He was interviewing them, and they were giving like real like in-depthness of what really went on, like far as Dr. York touching them. And I had to go. I had to walk away. The minute I got the victim's point of view, I walked away from it. You know, and then after that, you know, I'm still driving. You know, that Saturn, I wind up getting pulled by the cops. My license is revoked. I go to jail. I get bailed out. The mother of my children bails me out. Here I am. I'm broke. I don't have no money. You know, I got to start from scratch. And I'm in Charlotte. New city. Don't know anyone. I'm determined to stay here, though. So I got on my grind. I got in those streets. I started selling my books. I got I started up a web. Well, I already had a website for my books, and I was selling my books online. So I would, you know, I was doing pretty good before Facebook started having all these rules and regulations. I would sell my books on Facebook, and I would do pretty good. I mean, I've sold books like as far as the United Kingdom, Europe, you know, Australia. You know, so I was doing pretty good with that. And then actually I started another website, and I was selling like oils, incense, and all types of different things like that. And then I would be going out too. So I would hit like the homecomings, selling my book, that is. I would hit the homecomings, you know, North Carolina A&T, here in Johnson C. Smith University, HBCUs in Columbia, South Carolina. I would do Walmarts. I would be walking around Walmarts. Now, this is when, you know, I said I'm not going to drive anymore until I get my license back. So I was catching a bus doing all of this stuff. No, excuse me. I'm not going to lie. Before I got pulled, I drove to North Carolina A&T, and I drove to Columbia, South Carolina. The moral of this story is that I did whatever it took for me to get to wherever I had to go, which was Charlotte. I was determined to get there, and I was determined to stay there. You know, a lot of other stuff happened along the way. Like, I was at this spot selling oils and incense, and this guy got shot in his face and in his hand, and that's another story, you know what I'm saying, for another time. But for the most part, the moral of the story is, listen, if you're determined to move here, if you want to move here, I would tell you to plan, because the story that I said that I just gave you could have went way left field, and I could have been left with nothing. It just so happened that I was so much determined to make it work, to the point where it worked. You understand? And you know, I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm going to live in Charlotte for the rest of my life, but I've learned my lesson. And what I mean by that is I fell for the okie doke as far as moving to Atlanta. I thought Atlanta was Black Mecca. Got down there and found out that Charlotte was way better than Atlanta. So if you want to move here, plan, and don't be hesitant. Don't procrastinate. Get it done. Get it done. If you want this to be your home, get it done. Just look at what I went through as an inspiration. And I want it to help motivate you in order that you can be up here living in Charlotte just like me. My name is Langston 2092. I want you to like, comment, subscribe, and definitely share this video.